She hurt you, and deep down she knows it. But what she doesn't know, what's going to wake her up, is how you respond. Not with anger, not with chasing, not with weakness, but with an eerie, powerful silence, and a transformation so undeniable, she has no choice but to feel your absence in her bones. Comment, I choose power, if you're done being disposable. This isn't for the man who wants sympathy. This is for the man who's done begging for love. This is for the man who's been lied to, ghosted, manipulated, strung along, and still wakes up wanting to be better. She pulled back. She tested your worth. She played with your emotions, thinking you'd stay no matter what. Today, we flip the script. You're not here to fix her. You're here to become the man she doesn't get to keep anymore. If this message hits, support this channel. Because every time you support us, you help another man out there who's been broken, confused, and walking alone in silence finally wake up. You're helping him find his power, and maybe even saving his life. Number 1, don't react. She pulled away, and your first instinct is to chase. But what if I told you your silence is the loudest, most powerful answer you'll ever give? You need to understand something most men never do. When she tests you, when she disrespects you, when she lies, ghosts, withdraws her affection, or plays emotional ping-pong, it's not random. It's psychological warfare dressed up as mixed signals. She wants to know what kind of man you are, not the one who smiles in pictures or pays the bill, the one who shows up when his heart's been punched in the chest. She wants to see if you'll stay grounded when she pulls the rug from beneath you. Most men fail here. Most men react. They panic. They beg. They explain. They try to fix things. They over-communicate. They send late-night texts dripping with pain and hope. And what does she do? She loses all respect for them, fast. Because in her mind, if you don't respect yourself enough to walk away from mistreatment, how could she ever truly respect you? That's where you need to rewire everything you've been taught. In that moment when your soul wants to scream, you say nothing. You step back. You go quiet. Not because you're weak, not because you're giving up, but because you're choosing power over noise. You're choosing to be rare in a world full of reactive men. You're choosing to master the moment instead of be mastered by it. That choice alone starts a chain reaction that transforms not just your relationships, but your life. This isn't about playing games. It's about choosing dignity. Because the man who can't control himself under emotional fire will always be controlled by someone else. So, you must learn to do what most can't. Stay still when everything in you wants to move. And in that stillness, you don't waste time rereading messages or refreshing her socials. You redirect your energy into your mission. You take all that emotional voltage and you fuel your evolution. The pain in your chest, don't numb it. Transmute it. That fire you feel, channel it into your fitness, into your discipline, into learning new skills, building that side hustle, expanding your mind, pushing your body. Because here's the truth, a strong body creates a strong mind, and a strong man doesn't beg for love. He becomes the kind of man love is drawn to but can't manipulate. A man who lifts heavy doesn't carry emotional deadweight. A man who runs hills and breathes through pain doesn't panic when she goes silent. A man who builds muscle, reads deeply, masters money, crafts his life with intention. He becomes unfuckwithable. She starts to wonder what happened to you, where you went, why you've changed. And that question, that wonder, is the beginning of a shift in her mind. It's when her attraction returns, and it's when your value multiplies in her eyes. But by then, you're no longer waiting for it. You're not standing at her door, you're at war with your limits, because you're finally realizing this was never about her. She was the catalyst, she was the lesson. But the message was always this: You are not a man because of what you have. You are a man because of what you can walk away from. You can walk away from chaos, from cheap love, from manipulation dressed as affection. And when you walk tall. No long speeches, no explanations, no "we need to talk." You just vanish from her life like peace after a storm. And when she notices you're gone, not just physically, but emotionally gone, it haunts her. You don't give her closure. She has to live in the echo of her choices. She has to sit with the weight of losing a man who once gave her everything and then chose himself. That's when you become her biggest regret. Not because you played games, not because you posted thirst traps, but because you became the man she thought she could control and learned she never could. And this principle doesn't just apply to her. It applies to every area of your life. Don't react when your boss disrespects you. Upgrade your skill set and become too valuable to ignore. Don't react when your friends flake on you. Build your circle with men who keep their word. Don't react to life's chaos. Rise above it and architect your own order. Life isn't about avoiding storms. It's about building a ship that sails straight through them. You become that ship by making your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Reacting is easy. Any man can yell. Any man can cry in a text. Any man can spiral. But it takes a true force of will to stay composed when you feel like the world's collapsing. That's the crucible where masculine energy is forged. That's where real strength is built. Not in comfort, not in validation, but in your ability to suffer in silence and still rise at 5 a.m., hit your workout, eat clean, build your business, hold your values. Every time you choose control over chaos, you level up. Every time you choose to walk instead of beg, you reclaim your crown. Every time you shut your mouth and open your notebook, you build the version of you that no woman will ever play with again. And the world starts to feel it. She starts to feel it. The new job opportunities, the different energy you bring into rooms, the aura of a man who no longer chases validation because he knows he's the prize. That's the man women beg for, the one who doesn't chase them, the one who has presence, the one who doesn't flinch when emotions rise, the one who doesn't post about his pain because he's too busy becoming dangerous in silence. And you become that man not by studying her, but by studying you, studying your fears, your addictions, your excuses, and then killing them one by one. You write in your journal every morning what you stand for. You cold plunge to harden your mind. You box to channel your rage. You meditate to sharpen your focus. You read Stoic texts like a soldier reads a war manual, not because it's trendy, but because you're in a war with yourself. Marcus Aurelius didn't flinch when empires crumbled. Why? Because his mind was a fortress. You want a better woman, build a better you. You want loyalty, be loyal to your future self. You want peace, get disciplined. Because peace isn't found, it's earned. And here's what they won't tell you. The moment you stop reacting and start building, you become unforgettable. She won't say it, but she'll feel it. In every silence, in every post you don't like, in every conversation she wishes she could have but knows she never will again. And when she reaches out, if she does, you won't feel a thing. Not because you're numb, but because you've transcended the version of you that used to care. You've become the kind of man who doesn't go back. The kind of man who doesn't need to prove he was right. The kind of man who lets results do the talking. The kind of man who is so rooted in who he is, no woman's attention can uproot him. You don't win by being louder. You win by becoming better, not bitter, not broken, but forged in solitude, crowned in your purpose, unshaken, calm, a leader of yourself. And that's when everything changes, not just your relationships, your whole life. Because once you master your emotions, you master your decisions. Once you master your decisions, you master your outcomes. And once you master your outcomes, you stop being at the mercy of women, jobs, family, society, anything. You don't need permission to be powerful anymore. You are power. And it all starts when you stop reacting. That's your starting point. That's where transformation begins. Comment, I choose power, if you're done reacting. If you're ready to take every ounce of pain and turn it into a fortress. If you're ready to become a man who doesn't flinch. If you're ready to become a man who commands the room with his presence, not his noise. If you're ready to walk away from anyone who treats you like you're replaceable, because you finally know you're not. The reaction ends here. The rise begins now. This is your time. Your silence is the message. Your results are the response. Your life is the proof. Number 2, let her wonder. The moment she doesn't hear from you, her imagination becomes your loudest voice. And that silence is no accident, it's power. She expected you to react, to chase, to beg, to spiral. But what she never anticipated is the deafening quiet that now surrounds her. The kind that makes her question everything she thought she knew about you. And in that void, your power begins to multiply. Not because you disappeared, but because you reappeared somewhere she can't reach, in your potential. In her mind, she had control. She was the sun, and you were supposed to revolve around her warmth. But when you went silent, when you didn't plead, didn't even flinch, you shattered the orbit. You broke the cycle. And now she's spinning because you're no longer part of her solar system. You're the black hole she underestimated, and now she's drawn in by the gravity of your absence. Let her wonder who you've become. Let her wonder what you're doing, who you're with, where your mind is. Because the truth is, when you stop broadcasting your life, she starts questioning her place in it. She begins analyzing the silence, asking herself questions she was too arrogant to ask before. Did I lose him for good? Has he moved on? Why doesn't he care anymore? That spiral of uncertainty isn't punishment. It's a mirror. It forces her to look at her choices, her words, her games. And for the first time, she's not in control of the outcome. That's the power of letting her wonder. It puts her in your old seat, the one where you used to wait and overthink and feel worthless. Now it's her turn. This shift is not about revenge. It's about correction. You don't let her wonder to make her suffer. You let her wonder so she can finally feel the weight of what she's lost. Because nothing changes a person faster than the fear of losing someone who was once unshakably present. You were consistent, you were reliable, you were available. But those things became invisible to her. They were taken for granted. So now, when your presence becomes a memory, she starts to question everything. Not because you yelled, not because you argued, but because you vanished with quiet strength. Psychologically, uncertainty is more painful than rejection. When someone knows you're gone, they grieve. But when they're unsure, when they think you might still care but you show no signs, they obsess. They watch your status. They scroll through your photos. They read old messages. They ask mutual friends questions they're too proud to ask you directly. And each time they don't find answers, the wonder grows. It becomes a slow, echoing panic that never quite dies. You become a haunting what if. And there's nothing more powerful than becoming a what if in the mind of a woman who thought she had you figured out. But for this to work, your silence must be sincere. You don't go silent just to get her back. You go silent because you no longer accept confusion as currency in your relationships. You don't let people toy with your emotions. You don't respond to chaos. You don't participate in drama. You become rare. And rare things are not loud. They don't explain themselves. They don't chase validation. They allow the world to recognize their value or lose access. When you let her wonder, you're not hoping she comes back. You're giving yourself the space to outgrow who you were when you tolerated less. You don't watch her stories. You don't check who she's dating. You don't try to decode her silence. You use every ounce of that tension to deepen your purpose, expand your discipline, and elevate your presence. Because when a man truly lets go, something shifts in his soul. He stops seeing her as the center of his story. He stops feeling like he needs to prove his worth, and instead, he becomes consumed by the pursuit of his own greatness. That greatness speaks louder than any message you could have sent. It shows in your posture, your peace, your focus. It becomes a frequency she can't tune out, even if you never speak again. She's wondering because she's finally realizing something. You were not weak. You were patient. You were not desperate. You were loyal. You were not chasing. You were choosing. And now you're choosing something bigger than her, yourself. That choice radiates. It infects every aspect of your life. You start making decisions based on who you're becoming, not who you're trying to win back. You take bigger risks. You raise your standards. You upgrade your environment. Because when you stop chasing people, you start chasing vision. And vision pulls you out of the cage you didn't even know you were in. She'll notice. She'll feel it. In the way you don't flinch at her name. In the way your social media goes dark, then re-emerges with quiet power. In the way your mutuals start talking about how different you seem. And maybe she'll try to test you again. A hey text, a random like, a call that seems casual, but it's not. It's her trying to escape the question she's been asking every day since you went silent. What if he's really done? You are. Not because you hate her, but because you finally love yourself. That love is not loud, it's not flashy, it's disciplined, it's consistent, it's respectful. You treat your time like it's sacred. You treat your peace like it's priceless. And you treat yourself like a king, not the kind who needs a throne, but the kind who doesn't beg for a seat at anyone's table. Let her wonder how you became this man. Let her wonder what changed. Let her wonder if she was the reason you finally chose yourself. And in that wonder, let her come face to face with her own reflection. Because sometimes, the best way to teach someone the value of your presence is through the pain of your absence. You don't teach by correcting her. You teach by correcting you, your habits, your standards, your focus. And in doing so, you become the man she thought she had forever. Only now, you're not available anymore. And that's when everything shifts. Not just for her, but for you. Because the more she wonders, the less you do. You stop obsessing over what she's doing. You stop trying to decode mixed signals. You stop trying to fix what broke you. You stop needing closure from people who aren't capable of giving it. You become free, not just from her, but from the version of yourself that tolerated confusion, that accepted half-love, that begged for breadcrumbs of affection. That man no longer exists. You buried him in the silence. You replaced him with someone who demands clarity, commands respect, and walks in purpose. That transformation, it's irreversible. Once you taste the power of letting her wonder, you never go back to being reactive. You never go back to chasing texts. You never go back to losing sleep over someone who sleeps fine without you. You become emotionally independent. You become spiritually grounded. You become the mystery she never solves, but never forgets. So let her wonder, let her fantasize, let her replay your words and regret the games. While she's caught in the loop of what could have been, you're living what is. You're in the gym, you're mastering new skills, you're speaking with purpose, you're surrounding yourself with people who lift you. You're not healing, you're ascending. You're not trying to move on, you've already moved up. And from this new altitude, the view is clear. She was never the destination. She was the detour that made you realize where you truly belong. Number 3, don't play her game. Every time you respond to her bait, you're not just playing her game, you're proving you're still on her leash. And make no mistake, There is always a game. Some play it consciously, others do it by instinct, but the rules are the same. You react, she controls. It starts subtle. She withdraws just enough attention to trigger your insecurity. Maybe she stops texting like she used to. Maybe she flirts in front of you, just enough to stir your pride. Maybe she posts something that screams, "Look how happy I am without you," while making sure it's public enough for you to see. These are not accidents, they're tests, and the moment you respond, you fail. Not because you cared, but because you showed her that your sense of self is still tied to her behavior, that you'll dance for attention, that you'll twist yourself to fit whatever frame she throws at you. But you're not here to dance, you're here to lead. You stop playing the game the moment you stop trying to win her approval. Because here's the uncomfortable truth most men never learn. Once you start competing for her validation, you've already lost. You've given away your leadership. And when a man loses his leadership, he becomes forgettable. She no longer sees you as a force. She sees you as a follower. That's when the tests intensify, because now she needs to know, just how far can I push him before he breaks? And trust me, she will keep pushing, because respect once lost is not recovered with apologies or long texts. It is recovered only through transformation. Don't try to decode her mixed signals. Don't match her energy. Don't play emotional ping-pong. You're not a mirror, you're a mountain. Her mood doesn't shift you. Her games don't shake you. Her attention doesn't validate you, because you don't exist inside her frame anymore. You've built your own, and in this frame, your time is sacred. Your focus is priceless. Your energy is not cheap. She can't buy it with a glance, a WhatsApp text, or a late-night breadcrumb of affection. You've priced her out of your presence, not out of spite, but because you finally understand your value. And this doesn't mean you become cold, bitter, or shut off from women. It means you choose discernment over desperation. You stop engaging in patterns that leave you empty. You stop chasing people who thrive off your reaction. You stop making someone else's emotional chaos your personal project. Because it's not your job to fix someone who benefits from being broken, especially when your attention is the fuel that keeps them playing. Let her flirt in front of you to get a rise. Let her post cryptic captions that scream for attention. Let her throw her confusion at you like a grenade. You don't flinch. Because the man who doesn't flinch is the man she re-watches in her head every night, wondering why he didn't take the bait. And in that wondering, she begins to realize something. You're not trying to win her. You're trying to win you. You're playing a different game now, a game of legacy, of power, of purpose. And that game has no room for emotional reaction. Every second you used to spend decoding her intentions, you now spend crafting your own future. You're not worried about her new guy. You're too busy becoming someone she couldn't keep, even if she tried. You're not angry about the way she treated you, because you're channeling every drop of pain into something productive. A man who's locked into his mission cannot be manipulated. His self-respect is non-negotiable. His boundaries are clear. His focus is sharper than her tests, and when she sees that, she either levels up or disappears. But that's not your concern anymore, because the moment you stop playing her game, you stop being a pawn and start becoming a king. And kings don't argue with jesters. Kings don't explain themselves to those who test them. Kings don't chase. They build. They protect their peace. They advance without asking permission. And in doing so, they become the very thing no one can toy with, a man with options. A man who has options never fears losing one. He's not impressed by attention. He's not moved by drama. He's not eager to prove himself to someone who couldn't appreciate him the first time. And this isn't arrogance. It's clarity. You're not better than her. You've just grown beyond the game. You've outgrown manipulation. You've outgrown codependence. You've outgrown the false belief that her validation defines your masculinity. It doesn't. Your discipline does. Your direction does. Your decisions do. So the next time she pulls a stunt to get a rise out of you, you don't explain. You don't retaliate. You don't chase. You let her realize she's no longer holding the strings, that you've cut every thread that tied your worth to her approval. And in that realization, she will either evolve or evaporate. Either way, you win, because your worth was never hers to define. You stop playing her game when you realize you were never supposed to be a player. You were meant to build the board. You were meant to create the rules. You were meant to live by a standard that cannot be shaken by attention or rejection. And when you do that, when you live with that level of unshakable clarity, the game ends. Not because you lost, but because you outgrew it. Number 4, replace her with purpose. You don't need closure. You don't need answers. You don't need her apology. You need a mission so big, so magnetic, that the void she left becomes the spark that lights up your entire life. When a woman pulls away, when she walks out, when she plays the game of detachment, she's expecting you to collapse inward, not expand outward. She expects you to fold into regret, to shrink, to lose your edge. But what she never sees coming is the man who turns his heartbreak into horsepower. You've been conditioned to believe that your value in life is determined by who chooses to love you. But when you start replacing her with purpose, you realize the opposite is true. Your value isn't confirmed by love. It's revealed through your direction. Most men think moving on means finding someone new. That's not evolution. That's distraction. That's why they end up repeating the same cycle with a different name and face. You don't become great by finding someone to fill her space. You become great by expanding the space until she no longer fits inside it. You make her absence irrelevant by building a world she has no place in. Replacing her with purpose means understanding that everything you feel is fuel. The grief, the betrayal, the silence, the confusion, all of it. That pain is not your enemy, it's your ignition. Most men burn in it. The rare man burns through it. And you do that by choosing what you build next. Not who you date, not who you text, not who fills the bed, but what you become. You make a decision, not out of ego, not out of anger, but out of clarity. My life will never revolve around anyone who walked away from me again. That's when everything changes. You stop chasing highs. You start chasing depth. You stop seeking pleasure. You start seeking meaning. You stop settling for a comfortable life and start building a consequential one. When you replace her with purpose, you become unrecognizable to the man she thought you were. Because suddenly, your energy isn't split between proving yourself and pursuing your greatness. It's laser-focused. It's fierce. It's relentless. You're no longer the man who waits. You're no longer the man who wonders. You're no longer the man who reacts to her silence. You're the man who's too busy moving forward to hear it. And the beauty of purpose is that it doesn't flirt with your self-esteem. It doesn't ghost you when it's bored. It doesn't test you. It rewards you. It refines you. It builds you into a man who is defined by vision, not validation. That purpose may come in the form of a business, a skill, a calling, a message, a mission. But whatever it is, it demands your full energy, not the fractured, desperate attention of a man waiting for her to come back. And let's be clear, this isn't about numbing yourself. It's about elevating yourself. You don't ignore the pain. You channel it. You look it in the face and say, "Thank you. You woke me up." Because here's the truth that changes everything. The version of you that she left behind was too small for the life you're meant to build. And now, you build without permission. You build without fear. You build like your future depends on it. Because it does. When you replace her with purpose, you stop waking up with emptiness. You wake up with direction. You start speaking differently, moving differently, thinking differently, and people start noticing, especially her. She might not say it, but she'll feel it. The man who once chased her now walks ahead of her, not because he wants revenge, but because he finally knows where he's going. You don't pause your life waiting to be chosen. You choose yourself. You choose your health, your mastery, your financial freedom, your contribution, your leadership. You become the man who wakes up at 5 a.m. not to prove something, but because the world you're building won't build itself. You become the man who stops wasting weekends getting drunk over her memory and starts using that time to sharpen his mind, expand his network, and fortify his legacy. You become the man who doesn't need loud motivation because purpose whispers to him every morning. And one day, she'll scroll. She'll see what you've become. She'll see how far you've gone. She'll realize the man who once asked, "What did I do wrong?" is now the man asking questions the world can't stop answering. But you won't flinch, because when you replace her with purpose, you don't look back. Not because you hate her, but because you love your future more than your past. That's the level of growth that changes your bloodline. That's the fire that turns a broken man into a builder. That's the path of kings. So stop trying to replace her with another woman. Replace her with something that scares you, something that stretches you, something that demands everything from you and gives tenfold in return. You want to heal. Building, you want peace. Commit to something that outlasts your emotions. You want power. Stand on a foundation she can't shake, because she's not part of it. Your legacy is not a text thread. It's not a situationship. It's not a second chance from someone who didn't see you the first time. It's built in the shadows, with blood, discipline, hunger, vision. And one day, when the noise fades, when you're standing on the platform of the life you created from scratch, you'll smile. Because you'll know, she didn't ruin me. She revealed me. She gave you the void. You chose what to fill it with. You were never meant to beg. You were never meant to break over someone who couldn't see your worth. You were meant to build, to lead, to conquer. Everything she took from you, you can get back, and more, by stepping into the life that was waiting for you to stop chasing and start creating. You don't rise by being chosen. You rise by choosing yourself. And the moment you do, you become the man she can't reach, the man the world starts to notice, and the man you were always meant to become. Comment, "I choose power," if this spoke to your soul. Subscribe if you're done being a version of yourself built for someone else's approval. Support this channel so we can reach more men who are lost, stuck, or broken, and help them reclaim their power.